Good afternoon, guys. Just doing a quick video on what I'm doing today. So pretty much looking at parts for the 69 Mustang. Thinking about getting the passenger side this rocker panel, inner and outer, kind of like what we were talking about yesterday. So I'm going to place the order for that, and as you can see, that's the total right now. And then I will change and head into the garage and get to work on the 302, the original motor for the 69. Alright guys, so working in a tight space right here, I was hoping to pull the 302 out and work on it out in the by the 69, but it is raining now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to work in here kind of tight, so it'll be interesting. But I'm going to start off with loosening up the hoist or the engine leveler that we use to pull out the motor, and that is going to be the 3/4 from before. And then we are going to start unbolting the rocker arms. Now ideally what you should be doing is rotating the motor and getting the pressure off of the spring, so that way you would loosen this up. Spin the motor by the harmonic balancer, and then again you would look for the one that is free, which would just usually wiggle around, and then you would just unloosen it, and then keep on going as the rocker arms go up and down. So I'm going to start taking off the engine leveler. Come on, dude. Whoops. Sorry, Impala, but you are in the way. Alright, so get rid of all these cables that are just in the way right now. Side over here. Alright, so like I said, I'm just gonna go ahead and loosen the rocker arms. I'm not very confident that the motor will spin, so I'm just gonna go about it the way that you shouldn't do it, and we'll go from there. So obviously working comfortable would be ideal, but we gotta do with what we got. Alright guys, so I'm gonna finish up unloosening all these, and I will catch you guys back when I am done. Alright guys, so pretty much got them all loose. So what I noticed, I tried wiggling one to see if it would come off, but it didn't, so I had to go over to the other side of the garage and get a hammer to convince it. Not really sure what I'm going to do with this motor. I mean, it would be nice to rebuild it and keep it with the car since it is the original block. But I do want to go with the 351 Cleveland. So I'm just going to tap it a little bit. Just to hopefully get them to pop out. Because some of them are like extremely stuck. See how those are starting to come out. Okay. So I'm just gonna throw them on this side over here. Not gonna use any of the rockers, or I believe, if I remember correctly, the fulcrums. These guys on the inside, they look like little bowl. They're bowl shaped, I should say, and one just. But I'll show you guys what I'm talking about when I get another one out. Actually, here it is. So that sits in your rocker arm, and then the bolt goes on top. Obviously you can see all that surface rust that is in there, and kind of curious to see what the motor is going to look like on the inside, because when I was undoing the bolts for this side, I mean the nuts, I noticed that the lifter is missing a good chunk of material there, so I'm not really sure if that's why the motor locked up. Not really sure what happened to the motor, but I mean, with these two broken rocker arms, it's kind of interesting. But alright, so I'm going to finish doing this, guys, and I'm going to clean up in here, and that way we'll take a closer look at the valley of the motor. Alright guys, so I'm going to pull off all the push rods, and these go onto your lifter. Your lifter goes onto your cam, depending on the design of the motor. Whether it's overhead or on top of the overhead, or I forgot the other technical name of it. So just taking them out. Ideally you would want to keep them in the sequence that you are taking them out. Look at this guy. But doesn't really matter. We're not going to be using these guys again. Alright. More garbage, and now I'm going to start very carefully working on the water pump. So it's going to be taking off all these bolts, which are a 1/2 inch if I remember correctly, and I will start getting on those. Alright, so I'm just going to take off all the perimeter ones, and then it's got some in here and over here. So that one and that one, I'm going to have to take this one off, and then this bracket will come out, and that is going to be for your alternator bracket. So I'm going to have to put you guys down for a little bit while I struggle with this bolt. Okay, so pretty much got all the bolts loose. I was able to take off the bracket that was here for the alternator, and if I didn't say it before, just to let you guys know that this is the water pump right here, and it attaches to your timing chain cover. And in order to access the rest of the bolts, we are going to have to get a 1/2 inch wrench, and then remove these guys when the time comes, and then that way we will be able to see what the timing chain looks like in the front face of the engine. So we're at the point where now the water pump is going to come off, and nasty. All right. So I'm gonna just put the bolts that I took off in the order that they were in. That way, if the time does come where we're gonna install it, you know, or reuse it, I should say. As far as the motor, we'll have the nuts and bolts. Obviously, not a tough thing to look up nowadays because the beautiful internet. So that's what it looks like. There's the timing chain cover. So in order to get the timing chain cover completely off, we're going to have to remove the harmonic balancer, and that you do need a special tool, which will have 3 prongs, and then you will bolt that in there, and then you will screw in a nut, or a bolt I should say, and then it'll slowly come off. But I will show you guys that when we get there. What I'm going to do now is remove the exhaust manifolds, and that way we will get to our head bolts, which are going to be along the side of the head on both sides, and then remove the rest of the head bolts that are still on the top. So that's what we got cut out. I am going to start unloosening them, and then we'll be able to probably knock out a spark plug in and see what it looks like inside, if we're able to view inside with the camera and the light. Okay, so I was able to get this one. I'm going to need a cheater pipe for that one. Remove this plug wire. It wants to come out. Now these are going to be a little bit tougher, guys, so like I said before, use a cheater pipe to give you some more leverage. And that one came out pretty smoothly, so now let's go with the next one. Alright, so not too bad, huh? I thought we were going to be up for a bigger battle, but so far so good. Alright, now there's always one that will break, and when we get to that one, alright, so far good. I'm just going to keep on undoing them all, guys, and then the driver's side will be complete. So I will keep on taking them off, and then show you guys when I'm going to take off the manifold. Alright guys, so this is pretty much a first for me. I have never dealt with such an old motor, and obviously very rusty, and none of the exhaust manifolds, none of the exhaust manifold bolts broke, surprisingly. So all I gotta do is just finish these up, guys. And the good thing about it is that the full exhaust is still on there, so I'll be able to drag out the manifolds through the back. But I am in total disbelief about it. I was doing my inline 6 on the 68, this guy right here, and I broke, well, I don't want to say I broke, well, maybe I did break them, right, being too aggressive, but I broke 2 of them and ultimately had to chase them out. But I am surprised. I mean, none of them broke, which is amazing. So I am going to continue taking this side off, and this is the last side. I already got all the ones on the driver's side off, and now sometimes they take a hammer to get them off, but as you can see, it's ready to come off by itself, which is good. Again, that's kind of good. And then this side's ready to go. I don't know if you guys could see that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to position the motor a little bit more towards the Impala, and then I will let's see, yeah, I'll just try to slide it out. So I'm going to move the motor over a little, just to give you a little visual about how tight this space is that I'm working in. So that's the 68, that's the 63, and I would rather hit the 63, just kidding. But yeah, so I'm gonna continue trying to pull out the exhaust, and I should be okay. I don't think, well, maybe I will have to. Yeah, so I'm gonna get rid of the dipstick, which is held on by this bolt that goes into the belt housing, and then that bolts into the engine block itself. And yeah, then we should be in good shape. All right, I'm gonna take that one up. All right, so a little change of strategy. I thought I was gonna be able to just take that dipstick off and inside it off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off the 2 remaining bolts for the bell housing. There's one more right down there. I'm not really sure if you guys can make it out. And then I will lift up the transmission. Hopefully it'll come right out or slide right out, but that shouldn't be a big deal. And then that way I could just pull the exhaust off. Alright guys, so I'm going to take this one out and the other one that is pretty much in line with it, and then that way we can see if we can get this transmission off of the motor. here we go. Let's get an extension for it. Getting one of these guys. Oh, sorry, this one. And then I will get the cheater bar because this guy is on there. So it took some convincing, but it's coming out. It's good. Obviously causing some new dents on the 68. Pretty sure it's appreciating that. So that folds out. Is usually you just grab it from the tail housing and wiggle it, but I'm not really sure if it's gonna be that easy because of course the starter is so much. So one thing that I thought was already taken off, guys, and again, this is being such a tight spot, but I thought the starter was off already, but it's not. So I gotta take out the starter, and it's gonna have two bolts. So this one, which goes through the starter housing and screws into the belt housing. So that is one of the reasons why the transmission is not coming out. So I'm gonna look for the proper socket for it. I hope it's a 1/2 inch. Nope. So it's gotta be a 9/16. Let's try this guy. Alright guys, I'm going to look for the right socket. Shouldn't be a big deal, just 2 bolts, and I will be right back with you guys. Alright guys, so screw that noise. So too tight in here. What I'm going to do is end up taking the 2 nuts off of the manifold flange, and that's pretty much what connects your exhaust manifold pipe to your exhaust manifold. So it's going to be 2. As you can see, the socket is on 1, and then the other one's going to be right underneath it. And then on this side, it's going to be right here and right down there. So I'm going to do that, and then that way I'll be able to get the pipe off and continue from there. Alright guys, so I was fortunate enough to remove one complete, right? So this is what it looks like. And the other one snapped off. So no surprise there, right? So this side is free, and the driver's side's just too tight. So, all right. So now I'm gonna take this guy off, which I missed one last one here, but as you can see, it already was loose. So I'm gonna support it so it doesn't come crashing down and then cracks on the floor. Not really sure if it could happen, but with my luck, it will happen. So these cast iron manifolds are getting harder to find, and you know, people usually switch them out with headers for the supposed improvement from the airflow as it's exiting the chambers. But that's always up for debate. A lot of people have a different perspective on it. So these are going to be the rest of the head bolts that we are going to take out, and then we should be able to knock these out, and then free up the head. And with that, you know, you usually have to strike it on the side a couple of times with a nice big hammer. Obviously, don't be too violent, but that's where we're at. So I'm gonna start taking off the head bolts, and it was a 11/16. So 11/16 for these guys, and I'm gonna start getting to work on it. Not too bad. Thought it would be a little bit rougher since the engine was open, but not too bad. So maybe these guys will be more challenging. No, not too bad. Sometimes it's like these threads are endless, but when you finally see it coming out, it's a sense of relief. But yeah, it's always interesting how the shortest bolt is the toughest one. So I'm not planning on doing much with this motor, guys, to tell you the truth. I mean, I would like to rebuild it just for the sake of having the original motor. I don't know, I want a Cleveland, and I was thinking about going big block on it. And I know that's talking way in the future, because it does require a lot of work. And obviously with the big block, whether it's torque or just the power that that motor puts out, you got to make sure that, you know, your suspension and your frame, which I think we've already walked through the 69 Mustang Fastback's frame already in detail, and notice that it's pretty shot. So you know, you always want to make sure that if you are going to drop a big block, that you are reinforcing it, whether it be through the shock towers or making sure that you don't have any rusty any structural parts. So you've got to be aware of that, guys, because it's not fun building a car and then, you know, just have it break on you. All right, so I'm going to finish taking this out. I'm going to get the big hammer to throw a couple of blows on the side of the block, or the head, I should say. And then we will see where we are at and what the inside of this motor looks like. So I'm kind of excited for that. All right, guys, so got the nice big hammer for it. Hopefully it shouldn't take that many blows. Usually it doesn't. But just in case, so I did take off the remainder of the head bolts. So I'm going to give it a couple of strikes on the side. Obviously, don't be too harsh where you're going to break it. All right, so we do have water in it. Hopefully, it's just from the rain or wherever. But let's see what it looks like. All right, that is awesome. Look at that. Wow, that is crazy. So we definitely know that yeah, this motor is going to be interesting, guys. Wow, let's see what the head looks like. Wow, that's cool. It is always cool to see something different. So the plus side is it's got all 8 cylinders, it looks like. But I'm going to clean up the pistons because right now we're not able to see what exactly went wrong. We know that 2 lifters are bad on this side, the driver's side, which is what is this? Cylinder 1 exhaust and no intake, and then intake on number 2 on the driver's side. So yeah, that is crazy. Alright guys, so I'm going to start cleaning this up, which obviously I don't want to use my bare hands, so I'll probably get like a nice little scraper, throw it on the floor for now, or yeah, geez, that is awesome. Alright guys, so I'm going to continue with the other side of the head, and then I will see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, so just for giggles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the socket for the harmonic balancer bolt, and we're gonna try to see if it'll spin. I'm guessing it won't, but I don't know, curiosity. Alright guys, so the bolt size for the harmonic balancer is 15/16. I'm going to let's check it out. I'm not hoping for a miracle, but well, I guess it would be a miracle, right? But here we go. Yeah, so no dice guys, I tried.